Let me first say that everyone in here is political. Okay? Everyone in here is political. If you say you have no politics, that's your politics. Does that make sense? It's kind of a logical and reasonable conclusion. Politics, or the word polis, is the city, or in reference to politics, it's how we govern and how we live our lives under the civil magistrate. And there are texts in Scripture that say we are to respect and honor the civil magistrate to the degree that God has given them power over us and authority over us. They abuse that, by the way. But there is a political event coming Tuesday. Have you heard this one? It's coming Tuesday. And for all of us in this room that don't think we're political, or maybe we're political in a one way or the other, I want to remind, as followers of Christ, a couple things. Number one, God spoke and the world leapt into existence. Okay, so He is the creator of all things, and Jesus is the Lord of lords. He is the King of kings. He is the high and lifted up, the exalted one, and He rules over all. And He gets to do that because He said words and things leapt into existence. If you have that power, come talk to me, because maybe one of these Sundays we'll have you up to demonstrate that power. You don't. Obviously, God, the triune God of Scripture, has that power. And because He has that power, He has the authority and the privilege and the right and the responsibility to tell us how to live. And some of the ways that He tells us how to live are mentioned, all the ways that He tells us how to live are mentioned in Scripture, and they guide different spheres of governance in the world. One of those being the state, local, federal government realm. We would call that the civil magistrate. One is the family. There's a lot of teaching how the family should operate. The other is the church and how the church should operate. So there's three spheres that God speaks of, and He rules over all of them. He rules over all the parties listed on your ballot. I don't know if you've looked at it yet. There's quite a few. He rules over all of them. And some of them are in trouble. A lot of them have areas where there's going to have to be some reckoning for that. We'll talk about that here in a moment. But a lot of those parties on there have some things that are in complete and total violation of Scripture. And I get to be the one who, because of what's going on and because we're political and it's connected to our Christianity, okay, our politics, whether you have them or not, it's connected to our Christianity. A Christian worldview empowers us, advises us, counsels us, commands us not to necessarily vote for a particular candidate, but to understand what is at stake in different ways that the civil magistrate rules us. One of the greatest places to go when I vote, and I'm going to put my marker in 2 Thessalonians, and maybe we won't get there. One of the places I go when I vote is the Ten Commandments. Charlton Heston, trying to grow my hair and beard out like him in the movie. The Ten Commandments are a great place to go to understand a basis of which God says we should be ruled by these things. Now, the God who created the universe says that we should be ruled by these laws and many other laws. And Jesus, by the way, says He doesn't come to abolish the law, but to fulfill it. And many Christians, I think, believe that by abolish or by fulfill, He means abolish, which is crazy, right? He didn't come to abolish the law by abolishing it. He didn't come to abolish the law. He came to fulfill it, which can't mean He abolishes it. I don't even know what I said there. Hopefully you understand. And if you did, come and tell me what I said later. So we have to understand that Jesus says the law is real. The law is something that still governs over us, and to obey it is the call of the Christian according to Matthew chapter 28. So we need to know it. This is a base, foundational understanding of God's law. He gave it, of course, to Moses and the Israelites. And I want to read these several verses here for you. Exodus chapter 20, verse 2. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. Commandment number 1, you shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself a carved image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water underneath. You shall not bow down to them or serve them. For I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers on the children to the 3rd and 4th generation of those who hate me, but showing steadfast love to thousands of those who love me and keep my commandments. Next one. You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless who takes his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the 7th day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. On it you shall not do any work, you or your son or your daughter, your male servant or your female servant, or your livestock, or the sojourner who is within your gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that is in them, and rested on the 7th day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy. Honor your father and your mother. My kids are back there. That your days may be long in the land that the Lord your God is giving you. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. We'll talk about a couple of these here in a moment. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, or his male servant, or his female servant, or his ox, or his donkey, or anything that is your neighbor's. Those are the 10 Commandments. Now, you know that there was issues here with the people when they first came down. Moses saw them basically breaking all of those, right? And had some issues with that and had to get a redo on the old 10 Commandments. But these are the 10 Commandments. They're in place for us not to say that was a nice Old Testament story that my mom put on the flannel graph, and isn't that sweet? These are commandments that govern the universe that God put in place, and we as Christians are supposed to read these as well as many other passages, and it should inform our politics. Whether you have them or not, you have them. Now, let me say this. This church will never be a partisan church, meaning we will never tell you to support a candidate. Did I say T in that? It's D, candidate, okay? We'll never say that. We'll never, from this pulpit, explain that. There will be some discussions maybe outside of this realm where you'll hear different reasonings of why such and such candidate might be a good choice. But I will say this. The woke, progressive, leftist, Marxist ideologies, which are vile and in some cases doctrines of demons, should not be voted for. Let me pray.